If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
You got Conway. Without Conway, he's coming. Don't turn the station. He is coming. He will be here today to do the show with you. Uncle T-Bones will be live in this studio. I am Michael Monks from KFI News, just sitting in for Tim until he gets here. It is a beautiful day here in Southern California, but you can't help but feel the vibrations of unrest here across the country, both as we recognize the 24th anniversary of the horrible events of 9/11, 2001, and then, of course, the tragic killing of Charlie Kirk in Utah yesterday and the fallout from that and what might come next. We know more about that situation in Utah today than we did yesterday. ABC's Alex Stone is with us now to talk about it. Alex, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Hey there, Michael. Yeah, is Tim doing like 90 miles an hour down Burbank Boulevard right now?
You know what? He has the great advantage compared to the rest of us of living like a hair away from this station. Everyone else just deals with the traffic here. He could walk here. I think he's got something else going on, somewhere more important he needs to be today, and then he'll be in.
Totally understandable. Yeah, so on the shooting, what we know right now, we still think that there may be an update coming in later tonight. We thought we were going to get an update at around 11:30 today, and then the FBI and the Utah Department of Public Safety abruptly canceled that, saying that there were rapid developments in the case. But as of about an hour ago, the Utah Department of Public Safety said they still had nobody in custody, that they had not narrowed in on anybody. There have been some rumors that they may have an idea now, which is totally understandable based on the surveillance images that were put out today that very clearly showed the face of the person who they believe was the shooter. Had sunglasses on, but otherwise very clear, young man, long sleeve, dark shirt, American flag with what looked like a gun on the American flag imprinted on the front of his shirt, a hat and sunglasses. And that they've been hoping all day that image was going to lead them to the shooter, that somebody is going to say, I know that person, and this is, John Smith, and he lives there, and that they can go and arrest him. But they are not at that point yet. They may, in the next couple of hours, get there if they do tonight. But today, Michael Bo Mason, the head of Utah Public Safety, saying,
we do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time. We are working through some technologies and some ways to identify this individual.
And they do have a timeline now that they were able to track him on that surveillance video. They saw him come onto campus, arriving at 11:52 a.m. He goes up some stairs onto the roof of a nearby building, not the buildings right around where Charlie Kirk was speaking, but beyond that, quite a distance away, where he apparently hid out with his bolt-action rifle, and then the single deadly shot was fired at 12:20, and then he is seen in surveillance video, according to investigators, jumping down off the building, running into some woods. They laid that out.
After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood.
So it was a fair distance, maybe 200 yards or so, where the shot had to be fired from. The gun was found in the woods, covered in a towel, and we understand from law enforcement sources today that there was one spent cartridge that was still in the chamber. There were unspent cartridges that had writings on them, words on them, that some in law enforcement are telling us now, Michael, that they believe it is writings about transgender and anti-fascist type words, but they've got to decipher all of that and figure it out. The gun is now heading to Quantico, to the FBI lab for analysis of whatever was written on the ammunition and for DNA analysis, and hopefully they hope latent fingerprint if they can find fingerprints on there. But they do have a palm print, they have a forearm print, and they're working on getting IDs off of those. They also have a shoe imprint that they're working off of.
Suspect blended in well with a college institution. We're not releasing many details right now, and we will soon. But right now we're not. But that individual appears to be of college age.
And they're hoping to use video technology to do facial recognition, a number of other things based on the images that they've got are so clear to ID that killer. But Michael, they say tips have been pouring in today. They put up a $100,000 reward for the arrest of the shooter. FBI Director Kash Patel is heading to Utah tonight. We are told by sources in the FBI he is going there to lead the investigation and to show what a big deal the Trump administration is making of the investigation, not necessarily to announce anything at this point, and that there is not an announcement. Again, that could change. In 5 minutes, they could say that they have a big announcement, that they made an arrest. But as of now, he's going there just to show what an important investigation it is.
Alex Stone from ABC News. We heard the official there say that this suspect blended in well with the college students there. That's not necessarily just because of this person's possible age and youthful appearance. You mentioned the shirt that this guy is seen wearing in the video. It looks very patriotic, very stereotypical costume, perhaps, of someone who might go to a Trump rally or somebody who might go out in support of Charlie Kirk and that type of messaging. But then you talk about these cartridges and the conflicting message on those related to transgender and Antifa. What do we know, if anything, about that messaging beyond their possible existence?
We don't know a lot because they are still analyzing it to figure out what the words mean, other than that it was read by some in law enforcement as being messages that are anti-fascist and transgender. But beyond that, we don't know. And yet, because we don't know anything about this individual right now, we don't know if it was a costume that they were wearing, or if it was something that, family's going to say, oh, he always wears that. Or, what the ideology is. And they've got to nail that down. And because it is so clear, it would not be shocking if by tonight they at least know specifically who they're going after. No arrest warrant has been issued as of the last couple of minutes. They have not put anybody yet in handcuffs after yesterday, when Kash Patel announced that separately the two different people had been detained and that there were subjects in custody for the shooting. Both of those were not their suspect, and they had to release them. But law enforcement put out their names. So those families are apparently getting harassed today because people are harassing them as being the shooter. And the second young man who was detained and his identity out there, and Kash Patel tweeting out that they had a subject in custody. His dad was angry today in Utah, saying that his son had gone to this because he was a big fan of Charlie Kirk, saying the quote, "It's ridiculous. It's absolutely uncalled for and insane that his son would be arrested or at least detained, and then publicly identified by the director of the FBI as being a subject that may have been involved in the shooting." So there were some missteps yesterday, and this definitely is a different FBI now. Typically, the FBI is very slow in putting out official information, to the point where, Michael, as we're out on the street, we'll know things and say, why won't you guys confirm this? And it takes them a very long time to nail everything down. Whereas now there is a director of the FBI that is putting out unconfirmed information and then having to walk it back. So there have been those missteps. He is now going. It would seem that they're probably going to be much more careful now about putting out when they do get somebody in custody that they've got them and who they are and what they're in custody for. But as of now, we don't know anything.
Yeah, it seemed very sloppy yesterday with the way some of that news came out of official channels like the director of the FBI. ABC News, Alex Stone, always a pleasure to hear you on KFI. Thanks for chatting with us about this. I'm sure we'll have cause to talk again soon.
You got it. Thanks, Michael.
The political ideology of this suspect will obviously be important because of the political volatility in this country right now. All you have to do is open up any of the social media platforms and you can see that people are already ascribing a personality to this person. They want somebody to blame, and they may want more than one person to blame. They may want ideas to blame, beliefs to blame, groups to blame. This is a very, very challenging time in this country, a more challenging time perhaps than it was even 48 hours ago. And we're going to continue to monitor this. We are expecting a press conference out of Utah, maybe around 5 o'clock our time. We will carry that live. But again, that was originally announced for late in the morning. It's been delayed now more than 5 hours, but we'll bring it whenever it does happen, and hopefully we'll get some solid updates there. I'm Michael Monks from KFI News, sitting in for Tim Conway only briefly. He will be here at some point today, possibly on the other side of this break, maybe not, but we will get Timmy in here, and he will spend the rest of the afternoon with you.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Sorry, I was running a little late today. I'll tell you later on. It's not a big story. It's not a good story. So may not even tell it at all. How about that? I was just late. You know, what can you do? But I knew I was going to be late. So I asked Monks last week if he could fill in. And he said, of course. So Monks gets an attaboy for that. Michael Monks every Saturday, 7 to 9 p.m. All right. Everyone's talking about Charlie Kirk, whether you supported him, whether you miss him, whether you are against him, whatever, the entire spectrum. But let me just for a second talk to dumb people, just for a second. So if you're dumb, keep KFI on. If you're pretty smart, pretty savvy, and you can work your way around the world, you know, having a job, paying your bills, not getting into too much trouble, then this next statement's not for you. Maybe you can grab a cigarette or something, or, well, maybe that's not smart either. I don't know. You go get a drink or, an Orange Crush. Get off the freeway and go get an Orange Crush at the Mini Mart. But just dumb people, all right? Just really dumb people. This is just for you. Don't videotape yourself celebrating somebody's death like Charlie Kirk and post it on social media. Don't do it. As much as you want to do it, as much as you feel elated that he was killed, as much as you get turned on that he was killed, you nuts out there, don't videotape yourself and put it on social media. Try to restrain yourself from doing that. Because almost every company now looks at social media when you get hired. And if they see any kind of indication of that you were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, you will never get hired by, I would say, almost 100% of corporate America. And that's a lot. You'd have to start your own company or wash your social media, which is very tough to do. Because once you post your celebration of Charlie Kirk dying and getting killed in front of 3,000 or 4,000 students, you might wake up the next morning and go, oh, that's not a good look. And you'll take it off your social media feed. But guess what? It was captured already by a lot of people who will keep posting that over and over and over. And you will most likely never work again. Or you'll find it very, very difficult to get a job. Extremely difficult. And don't think that you can just, later on in life, just whitewash your social media, because that's also a red flag. If you're 25, 26 years old and you start working for corporate America or whatever corporation it is, maybe you're working for Goodyear or, I don't know, you're working for Vons, they'll want to take a look at your social media. And if you say you don't have one, that's also a red flag. And so try to restrain yourself. You can celebrate your house. It's a free country. But when people say, well, it's freedom of speech, I can celebrate any way I want. Yeah, that's true. They can't arrest you for it, but you're not going to be hired anywhere. You're not going to be able to make a living. You're going to be broke. You'll end up probably on welfare or homeless or on food stamps or, having your mom or dad give you money every month for the rest of your life. And they're going to get tired of that. So don't do it. All right, that's just for the dumb people. The dumb people, really dumb people that do that. And for everybody else, you've managed to think about this, this assassination in the correct way. There's an incorrect way and a correct way to look at this death. And the incorrect way is to celebrate it, videotape yourself, and put it on social media. That is going to haunt you forever. Because there are already a number of websites that have a montage of people doing that. And if you're on it, that lives forever. And nobody's going to hire you. Nobody. I don't know a single corporation that would hire you. You think Disney's going to hire you? Or NBC? Universal? You think you're going to be hired at McDonald's with you celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk? You couldn't work at a low-level entry job. You could probably not even volunteer. When you volunteer, let's say you volunteer for, Meals on Wheels or Big Brothers of America, they'll also look at your social media. And then they'll say no to you as well. So it's going to be a long, long, miserable life for that 5 minutes of happiness that you celebrate somebody's death, which is odd, improperly raised. And I think a lot of the people that do that celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, I don't think they have a lot of friends. And I'll tell you why. Because if you had a lot of friends or you're close to a lot of family members, they would have talked you out of that in the past, that kind of behavior in the past. If you had 5, 6, 7 close friends, even 1 or 2 close friends, and in the past a politician died and you celebrated it, they would have talked to you about that. And they would have said, hey, that's not a good look. I wouldn't do that anymore. And that's what good friends would do for you. But people who have no friends and are living a really solitary lifestyle, you'll post stuff like that, and then you watch. It will affect your future. 100% of your future. All right, well, we had a lot to get into. We had Jay Leno on last night. He wanted to call and talk to us, and in a very serious way. And that was a great segment. Bellio posted up on, I think it was on Instagram and Facebook, and a lot of people. That message that Jay Leno gave last night, we'll play it when we come back, really resonated with a lot of people. This is a man who has written jokes, delivered jokes, hosted TV shows, made people laugh, and does not take a lot of things seriously. But man, did he take this killing of Charlie Kirk seriously. And it went up yesterday, I don't know, probably around 5 o'clock or so? What time did you post that yesterday?
Yeah, probably around 5.
Okay, 5 o'clock. And as of about 10 minutes ago, over 2.2 million people have seen this. And people need that right now. They need people they recognize and people they're comfortable with and people they've seen for a long time, help them get through this. And it's a big deal for a lot of people. It's a big deal for me. I've gone through a tremendous amount of emotions over this. And I text a friend. I want to read it to you exactly because I think it's important. And then we'll take a break. But I wrote this to a buddy of mine. I said, buddy, this Kirk shooting is devastating. I've never met the guy, but I feel like a friend or a family member has died, and I can't shake it. And I think a lot of people are going through the same thing, where this one hit really hard. This one hit harder than almost all the other either assassinations or deaths of people you may have never met, but people you knew. And don't feel bad if you're like me and Bellio and Oscar and Brigitte. I mean, we've all, have been impacted by this. And it's tough to get through this. A lot of people woke up this morning and it didn't hit them right away, and then they remembered Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and it depresses them. You wake up in a radical depression. It feels like you lost a family member or a friend, even though you've never met the guy. And it's odd. I don't know what it is, but I've never had that happen before, where the sorrow and the sadness has lingered on that long. And I'm sure it'll continue. The more you watch of him, and the more you see what a great dad he was, and a great husband he was, and how close he was with these kids, and how he went onto these campus and talked to kids without any protection, fearless, and showed these kids there's another message out there. It affects a lot of people. A lot of people are going to have to seek therapy, because it's like a not only a family member, a friend, or maybe even a pet. It's like that attachment you have to him was overwhelming, and he was gone in an instant, and we saw it happen, and it's devastating. It really is. So don't feel bad if you're going through the same thing I am. It's tough. It's tough.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/day to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/day for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
We might have a press conference at 5 o'clock surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination, so we'll bring that to you live. We'll interrupt anything we're doing, and we'll have more information, and we'll sprinkle it in all day long. But first, we got Michael Monks again. Thanks for filling in for the first segment. Appreciate that.
Multiple appearances on the program today.
You got two things we're working on here. Mayor Bass is one of them, and then 9/11.
911.
911. Oh, I'm sorry. The 911. I get it.
The 911 system
Different.
on 9/11 is what we're talking about.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Let's start with Mayor Bass. She wants to make it easier to hire LAPD officers.
She does indeed. I mean, look, you know that there has been a shortage of officers.
Yes.
Every chief of the past, 15, 20 years has said, we don't have enough guys and gals out there on the streets patrolling. They want 10,000, 11,000, 12,000. They're at 8,700. That's the lowest they've been in a generation. That is a low amount of police.
And New York City, geographically, is much smaller than LA, and they have 37,000 cops.
That's right. I mean, this is a huge city, not just because of its population. Geographically,
yes,
it's a large, complicated city. A lot of different terrains,
That's
a lot
right.
of different topographies, a lot of different densities out there, and a lot of different populations. You've got some ritzy areas that don't need as many police,
Right.
and then you've got some areas that need a lot more.
I mean, it literally goes from Chatsworth to San Pedro, which is probably about 40 miles.
It's a long, long city.
What is she going to do to help people?
Well, here's what she's done. She's issued an executive directive that she says will accelerate police hiring because they want to get the number at least above 9,000. So they need a few hundred more officers in order to hit that quota. There have been a lot of problems with hiring police. And one of them is, this has become cliche when you talk about government officials, but it is bureaucratic red tape. Police officers have to go through the same process that, a lifeguard or anybody else who's getting a job with the city has to go through. And it's the personnel department. This is a city that's been shedding staff, that doesn't have as many resources, as much money as it needs to have on its own. So it's a slow process anyway.
And a guy who works for LAPD told me this because he's in charge of one of the guys works in recruitment. But they say for every 100 guys and gals that sign up to go through the academy to become police officers, he said at least 2, 3, or 4 of them each class will have a warrant out for their arrest.
That's the problem that isn't mentioned enough, because of course there is bureaucratic red tape that slows this down, but I've sat through multiple committee meetings at LA City Hall where the police department is quizzed about, well, what's the deal? You're talking about record applications. They're getting applicants.
Right.
A lot of them. They've been doing a massive recruitment campaign for a long time. It's on all of their cruisers, a bumper sticker. Let's do this. But they're like, some of them are too fat. Some of them can't pass the test.
Right.
And some of them have criminal records.
Some of them have outstanding warrants.
Absolutely.
And they just take them in right there.
And another thing that impacts a place like LA is you can throw a rock and hit another city.
That's right.
And that other city may have a police department.
And give them incentives.
They might have better deal going on.
Right.
And right now, if you are somebody looking to be a police officer, it's a buyer's market.
Yeah.
So, LA is not just competing to get people to come in and be police officers there. They're competing against Burbank. They're competing against Pasadena. They're competing against these places that have their own departments.
All right, when we come back, can you stay with us?
I sure can.
Okay, Monks is with us. We'll talk about the 911 system. And also, if there is a press conference, we will take it immediately, no matter what we're doing.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Here with regards to the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
We're waiting a possible press conference on the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday. So as soon as that happens, we'll have it for you live. We'll also replay the interview that John Colbelt did with Charlie Kirk's pastor or reverend or priest. I don't know exactly who it was, but it was a great interview. And we'll play that at some point before 7 o'clock. Monks is with us. The 911 system on 911 is in the news.
It absolutely is. We've been talking recently about burglaries in Encino and areas around there. It's been a serious problem. Think about yourself going home, finding that your home has been burglarized. Nobody's there. The burglars have made off. What do? You call 911.
Sure.
That's classified as a non-emergency. And the wait time for somebody calling in could be an hour or more before a dispatcher gets on there to get your information, even before a police officer is sent.
You can be on hold just to get information for an hour.
Yes.
Wow.
And again, this goes back to what we were talking about in the previous segment. This is a big city. A lot of people are here. A lot of stuff is happening. There are not enough police officers to get to everything in a timely manner.
Sure.
But if you are dealing with something like your home being broken into, it's pretty traumatic and terrifying. You view it as an emergency. The system itself does not. You are not in an immediate threat. There is no danger to you right now. It's a terrible thing, but it is a non-emergency.
There's an advertiser here at KFI who lives in Sherman Oaks. I don't want to say his name because I haven't asked him. I could repeat this story on the air. His home was burglarized, and he called LAPD at 9:45 p.m., and they showed up 3 a.m.
Yeah.
6 hours later.
Exactly. So we're not
It's
even...
not their fault. They just don't have the guys and gals.
But we're not even talking about the response time from the police. This is before the police are even dispatched, if they're going to be dispatched.
It's incredible.
Now, there are non-emergencies that we can all accept as non-emergencies. You're not even supposed to call 911. If you get into a little fender bender, you're supposed to exchange information and fix that yourselves through insurance. But If you are in any other situation and you call and you have a non-emergency, you are waiting for a while. So the LA City Council has approved this week an order, a directive, if you will, to have the LAPD come back in about a month and say, this is what we need in order to improve that. They say emergency response times are about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and that is correct for 90% of all 911 calls are answers within 15 seconds. That's the state standard. So they have to be answered.
Okay.
But that's just hello. I'm here.
Right.
All right. So 57.43% of emergency calls were answered in 15 seconds or less, but the non-emergency calls take longer. The average is only 3 minutes and 40 seconds, but there are just many instances where it is much longer. So they want the LAPD to come back in about a month and figure out what the staffing looks like for their dispatchers. They call them police service representatives or PSRs.
Right.
They want to know how these PSRs are expected to impact emergency call response times and non-emergency hold times. They want to know how to integrate technological interventions for non-emergency call taking. And they want an evaluation of what they call the feasibility of establishing dedicated non-emergency operators within the communications division. So basically people who are not necessarily trained the same way as the PSRs, but folks who can take those calls and the information.
Right. But it's I live in a small city. I live in Burbank, and one of the reasons I left the city of LA is this exact reason. They just don't have enough people to run that city properly, and they're not hiring anymore. There's a hiring freeze. And so it's just going to get worse and worse. I don't know where this ends.
No, I don't either. They clearly need to improve the system. There's so much dysfunction at LA City Hall. There are so many different concerns, most of them related to money. It's the type of household where money is always a problem, and so things are always tense. Hair is getting pulled, things are being thrown, and problems aren't being addressed the way that they're supposed to be.
I think you're right. While you're sitting here, I want to know, because you were in Kentucky during 9/11, and this is the 24th anniversary we're commemorating today. Where were you on 9/11?
It's interesting, thinking back to 24 years ago. I was an undergrad. I was at Northern Kentucky University, which is 7 miles south of Cincinnati. And I was on campus in the apartment and flipped on the television, and everything had hit the fan by then. And I woke up my roommate and I said, we've been bombed. We were stoners. We didn't know what that was going on. We saw a bunch of stuff on TV and thought, but I had to go to work. I didn't have any class, but I had to work that Tuesday at the mall in downtown Cincinnati selling soap and incense in this little store. It was a great store to work at because there were no customers. And so I could always do my homework.
Right.
But it was in the tallest building in downtown Cincinnati, this mall. The Carew Tower in Cincinnati is the biggest building there. And at that moment, they could have been coming for Topeka next. Everybody was just speculating. Are they coming? If they come to Cincinnati, they're obviously going to hit the Carew Tower where the mall is.
Exactly.
So they evacuated us and sent us all home out of that building because everybody was terrified that Cincinnati was next.
Yeah. Nate Bargatze, very funny comic who's hosting the Emmy Awards this weekend, also hosted Saturday Night Live a couple of times. He said he comes from a town of, I think it's like 1,200 in Tennessee. And after 9/11 happens, they immediately had their local police department, which is 6 police officers, surround the water tower because that's going to be after the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. It's the South Jackson, Tennessee water tower.
We all felt that way that day.
Yeah, everybody in small towns felt like they were next.
You just didn't know, and that type of fear. Not to return it to a serious conversation, but that type of fear, I think. And the combination of the immediate access to megaphones like we have now with the social media, that fear lingers every day. We feel it, especially on days like today after what happened yesterday.
I think you're right. Buddy, I appreciate you coming in for the first segment, 7 to 9 p.m. on Saturday.
You got it.
All right, thank you, man. All right, there he goes. Michael Monks, everybody. As soon as that press conference happens, we'll have it for you. If you're watching TV right now, at least on the networks, on the national networks, the cable stations, you're watching Air Force 2 arrive in Phoenix, Arizona with the remains of Charlie Kirk. That's on Fox and also on CNN. Vice President, I believe Vance is also on that plane. I think that's why they call it Air Force 2. Yes, it would have to be, if they're referring to it as Air Force 2, Vice President Vance has to be on that plane. We're live on KFI AM 640. Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.